Good morning, everybody. How are you all today? I hope you're well. I hope you're grand. Oh, it's muggy today. Oh my goodness, it's so close. I've kind of given up looking at the forecast because you look at it and literally it'll say in the next hour you're going to get rain, and the next hour we don't get rain, and then the forecast changes and da. It feels like we could do with a big old hoolie of a storm, a big gorgeous big thunderstorm with rain to break this kind of stalemate. It's not hot. It's only about, what does the thermometer say in the shed? Well, in the shed, it's always a bit warmer in the shed. It's 28, which is 80, I don't know, 84 Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's not that it's particularly hot, but there's no movement in the air. There's a lot of moisture in the air. It's really humid today. Anyway, so, right, yeah, I'm going to have a little moan before we go in the garden. Please bear with me. Two things. You know, a lot of the lockdown restrictions are being lifted, which is great. You know, businesses getting back to business, and I hope especially all our wonderful small businesses, I'm going to come on to that in a second, I hope they've all survived this kind of being shut for 3 months. It's a huge chunk of the year, isn't it? You know, it's a quarter of a year to have no business. So, you know, actually on that note, I'm going to go all over the place today. Yeah, I think if you do need to go shopping, other than for food, let's all please try and shop local, shop independent, those small businesses in our high streets. They really, really, really need our help at the moment. I'm not a big consumer in terms of, I don't go shopping and go, oh, I fancy that, I fancy this. But if there is something specific you need or that you're after, try and do it local, try and do it independent, try and do it small, and let's keep these little businesses going. The businesses that give character to our high streets, and the businesses where we have personal interactions and great customer service. Going to come on to that in a second. Yeah, so I haven't, throughout the whole of lockdown, I haven't enjoyed the shopping experience. I don't go shopping much for myself, but I've been doing shopping for other people, and you know, it's like everyone queues brilliantly outside the shop, keeping their 2 metres. As soon as you get into the shop, it's like, oh, well, we've done the distancing outside, we'll do what we want in the shop. Ugh. So yeah, I'm doing less of that now because a few people that I was doing it for are now back to doing their normal shopping, and they've now got online shopping set up, that sort of thing. So I'm glad of that. So yeah, it just puts me in a bad mood every time. I try to do it with good grace, but oof. So on to this customer service thing. I have done a bit of shopping during lockdown. I've needed a few bits and bobs, I've needed a few sewing bits and bobs, and I've gone to small companies who are local, who they don't have their shop doors open as such, but they adapted and they arranged for sort of, you could make an order online and then go to the shop to collect it. They put it on the doorstep and take it away. Brilliant. And I've had a couple of things from other small companies, not in my neighbourhood, where they've been posted to me. Brilliant, no problems. You can probably guess what I'm building up to talking about, can't you? Oh, yes. Compostgate 2020. So, I placed my order 3 months ago. It was supposed to have arrived 2 months ago, and as you know, it didn't. I kept emailing the company to say, where is it? Please give me an idea of the timing. Apart from anything, I'll need to be at home to receive the order. I kept getting generic emails back saying, we can't answer emails at the moment. And of course, at that time, my annual budget for the garden was tied up in that order. So it got to a point, and I just thought, you know what, stuff it. I'm just going to get a refund, use that money to go and buy compost elsewhere. So I wrote an email to ask for a refund. Got a generic email back saying orders can't be changed at this stage, refunds will not be given. And you guys know by now, I mean, this went on for weeks. I was emailing 2 or 3 times a week to them, begging them to correspond with me, begging them to just talk to me even. If at any point in this whole process they had written back to me individually to say, "Dear Miss Gregory, we are so sorry that we've messed up horribly. Yes, of course we'll refund you." But they didn't. In the end, after about 2 months, I got so fed up, I got in touch with my bank to say, I really want to get a refund, how do I go about it? So they sent paperwork to me, a load of paperwork from the bank that I had to fill in, plus, this is why it's so annoying, I had to print off my original order, your order has been dispatched, and then all the correspondence, every email I sent them and every email back. I mean, I used up blimmin' nearly a ream of paper and a whole blimmin' cartridge of ink doing this. So this great wad of paperwork sent to my bank, and then literally 3 days ago, I got the refund. Yay! 70 quid back in my account. It's like, oh, thank goodness that sorry saga is over and done with, because, you know, and I said it, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I'm not going to order anything from them again. And fantastically, in the meantime, a local-ish company got me sorted out with the delivery of all that beautiful compost that you guys helped to pay for as well. Thank you. You guys helped to pay for it, plus all of you who bought those lavender bags. All of the profit from the lavender bags went into this compost too. So between the lot of us, we did it. Yay! Yesterday morning, early, it's early for me, about 8:30, my doorbell rang. I'd only been up a little while. I'm not sleeping very well at all at the moment, so quite often I'm not in bed until 3-4 a.m. So I don't get up till about 8 most days. I'd only been up a little while, doorbell rang, delivery, and I was like, oh, what's that? I thought, oh yes, I am expecting something for my sewing stuff. So I quickly put my bathrobe on. Now, in the morning, it takes me so long to get my legs going. Any of you will know, with arthritis, you know, mornings are one of the worst times, because it just, every movement hurts, really hurts. And it can take a good sort of hour, 2 hours on some days to get going enough to then get on with your day. So I answered my intercom, because obviously I'm up in the sky and this was down on the street, and I said, oh, okay, I'll come and open the door. Bear with me, it's going to take me a little while to get down the stairs. So I duly got down all the stairs, opened my front door, and in front of me was, I mean, it was just a sorry mess, is all I can say. My compost delivery. I mean, can you believe it's, So any of you who follow me on Facebook will have seen in the last couple of days, I'm not sure when this video is going to go out, but you will have seen the pictures. So I'd ordered 4 bags. I can't remember, are they, there might be 75 litre bags, I'm not sure. They're big, heavy bags. Every single bag was bust open. Every single bag, or all 4 bags. Some had had tape put over them, but still there were splits. Some had been held together with cable ties. There was one in such a bad state, it's inside another clear, thick, like poly bag, and that's got a cable tie on it. But even as the guy was parked the other side of the road, even as he was getting off the van and coming across the road, I'm just looking at this trail of compost across the road. It's compost in the street outside my door. I was like, what? No, where? And anyway, before I knew it, he'd muttered and gone off. So I'm left with this pile of crap, yeah, I'm going to use the word, on my doorstep. So I started bringing it into my hallway. Even as I'm bringing it in, there's compost going everywhere. I share this hallway with my two lovely neighbours. We all get on great. You know, we're all quite quiet, we keep to ourselves, but we're very, we're very, oh, what's the word for it? I can't think of the word, words have gone. But we're very mindful of each other and respectful of that communal space that we share. We're all there for each other when needed. The last thing I want is to upset my neighbours. But yes, I'm dragging these bags in. There's compost going all over the hallway floor. And then I'm thinking, I don't want to take the bags upstairs because I don't need them upstairs in my flat for seed sowing now. 3 months too late. They'd be for the garden. So normally what I would do in that sort of situation is I'd stack them very neatly against the wall in my hall, in our communal hall. I'd open one, divvy it into two, because I can't bring one in one go. Divvy it into two, bring one lot down, but I would keep the hall neat and tidy and keep them as pushed back as far as I possibly can. But I was thinking, I can't just leave these here, it's a mess. But then if I take them all the way upstairs to my flat, I'm going to be trailing compost through the whole hall. Besides, I don't want to be lugging all of this stuff up 60 stairs. It'll kill me. Anyway, the long and the short is I've emailed the company because so when it first arrived, I was then thinking, well, I'm now going to have to pay for it because I can't just keep it because then I'll feel like I'm stealing. So I'm going to have to pay them now. And I was just thinking, oh, God help me trying to communicate with this company again. And I was thinking, if I do pay them, I want a socking great discount. A, for them being so late, and B, for the state they're in. Excuse me a sec, I've got a friend arriving. And I'm back. That was a very lovely little interruption from Kai. Kai hasn't been able to be around much, but now she's back and she's getting stuck in, and she's just painted her shed. So obviously I had to go over to her garden and have a look to see what's been going on. The shed looks great. She's done it in a black ash, very Derek Jarman, and I think most of you probably know when you've seen bits of Kai in the videos that she's a photographer, art photographer rather than wedding photographer, if you see what I mean. So I can already see how she's thinking. There's a beautiful teasel near the shed that she's left because against the black of the shed looks gorgeous. Can you hear in the background? That's her strimming now. She's really working hard to get back on top of the plot. Anyway, so look, I'm just going to wrap up about this blimmin' compost thing. So, it's in my hallway. I'm not moving it. I'm certainly not moving it upstairs. I've spoken to both my neighbours about it and apologised, and when it's gone in however it manifests itself going, I will of course lug my hoover down all the stairs and hoover the hall. I have emailed the company a really snotty email to say, you know, thanks for ignoring me for 3 months and not responding to a single email. Won't it be interesting if this is the one email you respond to? But basically, I don't want this rubbish. Come and collect it. And I've only given them a couple of days to do it. Why should I deal with it any longer? If I don't get a response, of course, I will bring that compost to the garden and add it as a mulch to a number of my beds. So yes, Compostgate 2020 goes on. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Oh my goodness. Speaking of gifts, I'll put this little note to remind myself. A big thank you to Deborah. Deborah, thank you so much. Deborah has sent me some blown up photos from her garden. Beautiful flowers with the bees in them, really quite close up. They're gorgeous. I will, once the charity shops and such like start opening again, I will go and find a little second-hand frame or a couple of little second-hand frames, and hopefully I can bring a couple of the pictures down here because they'll be gorgeous in the shed. So thank you very much. And now on to business. Oh my goodness, I know I've gone on like that for quite a long time. I make no apologies, I'm just bringing you up to date. And that's what I wanted to say. That was almost the whole point. Where did I put my water? Oh, it's outside, I'll wait. Back to this thing about small companies versus national companies. The company, the Organic Gardening Catalogue, I used to really like. But 2 or 3 years ago they were bought out by Dobies, and I believe subsequently Dobies are also now owned by Suttons. It's been really obvious in the last couple of years when I've been receiving the catalogue that this is not the company that I signed up for all those years ago. So much of the catalogue, in fact the whole central section of Rob's Heritage Seeds, none of them were organic. I'd got an old catalogue, I think it was this year, sitting on my shelf still, so I had a quick flick through again. So many of the products of the seeds are not organic, so they shouldn't call themselves the Organic Gardening Catalogue, because if you're an organic gardener, you want to go, I'll have this, that, this, that, this, that, get them and know that they're organic. Do what you say on your cover. So that hasn't pleased me. I think in the last couple of years the customer service has gone down the drain. Their customer service used to be brilliant, and look, put it this way, 5 years ago they were hero, today they're zero. And it just brings me back to that thing of I'd much rather shop with smaller companies where I can have some level of personal exchange with them, especially if something goes wrong. Now, most companies, if something goes wrong, you would think they would want to put it right. They want to keep your custom, no matter how small your custom is. So yes, I shall, in terms of seed suppliers, I will stick now with Real Seed Company and the Seed Cooperative, plus a few other little ones I'm looking at. There's a couple which are really small who haven't got their organic certification yet, but have been growing and producing organically for the last sort of 3 or 4 years and are just waiting to get that certification. I will definitely be supporting those type of really small companies. For other stuff, the bigger, bulkier stuff that I might need from time to time, like compost, bean poles, that sort of thing, I'm going to go back to my local people, like the guys who brought the compost here. They were fantastic, great, fabulous service, absolutely brilliant service. I wrote to thank them, detailing every bit of why the service was brilliant, because they deserve to hear. And then I got a really lovely email back from the company to say, you know what, thank you so much. It has been a bit tricky during the COVID thing, so we really appreciate your kind words. Doesn't take much, does it? It does not take much. And they will have my custom from now on. That's another thing. Oh my goodness. Oh, maybe this will have to be just a separate little quickie catch-up video, because so much I want to talk about. Oh, I lost my train of thought for a second. Hang on. Yes. So, I'm still on the subject of compost. This year has undoubtedly been the hardest year ever for me to get the garden going. This is not a pity party. It's just an acknowledgement of the truth that it has been horrible. I won't make any bones about it. I think quite a few of you have seen the garlic video by now, and you've seen what my ground is like. I think a combination of factors this year, the fact that we had 3 really dry months. May, we were drier than the Sahara. In May, it was the driest month in the UK ever since records began 170 odd years ago. So that dryness that cemented my beds, that was bad enough. Plus, in the year that's passed since the last spring, my knees have obviously degenerated more. So that's become more painful to do. You know, even ordinary things like walking to the garden, just the walk to the garden takes me a good 20 minutes now. It used to take 10. So yeah, it's been horrible and the toughest start ever. And I think if this had been my first ever garden, my first ever year here, I might easily have given up. However, I kept reminding myself of what the rewards are like and how gorgeous my garden can be, how productive it can be. That once I've done that initial hard work in the spring, how lovely the sort of the tinker time of summer is. So I kept all that in mind. I am going to have to get this water, sorry. Yes, sorry, all these interruptions. So yeah, obviously, bearing in mind where I could get to with the garden, it just gave me the incentive to keep going. Also, I'm really stubborn. But thinking ahead to the future, I don't want to go through this again. Because, you know, until I get knee replacements, goodness knows when that will be, it's only going to, my knees are only going to get worse. They're not going to get better. And even if we didn't have a drought next spring, who knows, my knees will be in a worse state next spring than they are this year. So with that in mind, I have decided, when I got the refund for the non-delivery of compost that I now have, I decided to immediately set that money aside. So I've got an old savings account I haven't used for ages, probably not for about 4 or 5 years. It has a title, this savings fund, on my online banking. It's called the Fun Fund. And it was where I used to set aside some of my pay when I was nursing towards day trips, holidays, days out, that sort of thing. It was purely for spending, for having fun. Obviously I drained that account 3-4 years ago. I had £1 left in it. Interest over 5 years, I think I got penny interest. Anyway, so remembering that old account, I immediately put my £70 refund into it. What do I call it? So I've retitled my fun fund, and I think I've retitled it my Muck and Magic Fund. Is that what I called it? Anyway, I am going to set aside maybe £1 a week, or, you know, even if it's 50p a week, sometimes it might be £2 a week. I'm just going to keep putting a little bit of money into that new fund, specifically for extra compost / manure. So for example, when we get to the autumn, my intention is that as beds become fallow, I will do what I've done for the last couple of years, bye Rusty, couple of years. Whatever compost I've made will go on the beds. Whatever crops are coming out, I will crop and drop, so all that material. But also get in a bit extra, so whether it's manure or more compost, whatever it is, in the autumn. That's for the fallow beds, and get them covered. Any beds that are still in use, so the brassica beds, they will get a load added as a mulch, so that hopefully those beds, because they this year, they were the worst beds to get prepped. The garlic was a perfect example. So they're exposed all winter, they get pounded with the rain, and then they get dried to concrete by the sun. So yeah, I feel good about making that decision. And, you know, I've always said, excuse me, dramatic pause. I've always said that you can garden for virtually nothing. You can have a really productive, like mega producing garden for virtually no money. And I stand by that. I do stand by that still, with seed saving, with skip diving, with scavenging, with sharing. It is possible, so long as you've got healthy knees. So, put it this way, if my knees weren't an issue, I wouldn't be doing all this extra spending. Is that rain? Oh, looks like we're stuck in this shed for a bit longer. Yeah, I wouldn't be spending all that extra. However, you know, this is the hand I've been dealt in terms of the knees. I'm not a martyr. I don't want to, you know, at the pearly gates, I'm not going to get a medal for sticking stubbornly with something. So yeah, I'm going to help myself with my new little fund. And I think, you know, that compost was 200 quid. So they were small bags, and I could buy bulky bags probably cheaper. Let's say maybe over the spring and those autumn points, I was going to spend an extra, say, 300 quid. That's £6 a week. Still worth it, isn't it? Still worth it. I'm glad I've just said that aloud now, because that makes me realise how much I need to save each week. But that's fine, you know. Say it's 6 quid a week, 12, 24, call it 25 quid a month. What I'll do is, you know, as and when I get back to sewing, I need to get on with sewing. You know, every now and again when I make a sale, I think, right, I'm not going to have any of that money. I'm going to put that straight into the Muck and Magic fund. Yay. It's funny, isn't it, when you finally make a decision on this sort of thing, it's sort of a relief, isn't it? And I know it's the right thing to do and the right way to go for me. But, like I said, if there's nothing wrong with your knees, you don't need to spend money. If you've got beautifully nutrient-dense soil like I've got here. It wasn't supposed to rain today. Sod's law, isn't it? It's sod's law. We've been desperate for rain for months. And now we're getting it. We're all a bit like, we just want it to come at night. That's what we actually want. I'm guessing as well it won't be long before all the kitties turn up for some shelter. Yeah, I think I'm just going to enjoy the quiet and this shower for a little while. Half an hour later, it's still spitting. It's lovely. It's cooled the air a lot. It just means that we can't go out into the garden and play together because you'll get wet and you're not allowed to get wet. And I realise also I've massively gone on one today. Oh, but that's fine, isn't it? Sometimes it's nice to just have a sit and a chat together. So what I think I'll do, I need to wrap up now, I think. Wrap up with you guys, not me wrap up. It's still perfectly warm. Yes. I need to say cheerio to you all. I'm going to stay. It's definitely not raining too hard to stop me from gardening. I actually quite like gardening in a bit of drizzle when it's a warm day. Yeah, the smells. Even now I can smell that change in the air. It's gorgeous. And then hopefully if it clears up a bit later, we can get together again and do what I was planning to do with you today all along, which is a bit of harvesting, a bit of taking out of an old plant and putting in of new plants. The vegetable hokey cokey. You take one plant out, you put one plant in, out, you know what I mean. hopefully we'll be able to do that today. If not, never mind. I will see you all again really soon anyway, no doubt. So until then, remember, ignore those big companies, shop small, and hopefully we'll all have more luck with our orders next year, whether it be seeds or compost or sewing supplies or whatever it is, if we keep it local. On that note, I'm going to sit back and have a snooze until this passes. So please take care of yourselves. See you soon. Bye for now.